Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel Study My Buddy. Today's our topic is transpiration, but before starting, please subscribe to my channel and do like, share and comment. So, transpiration, what is it? It is a process of loss of water in the form of water vapors from the leaves and other aerial parts of the plant. It is very useful process for the plants for two reasons. One, creating suction force in stems to enable the roots to absorb water and mineral nutrients. The second, for cooling the plants in hot weather. Now what is shown to you is a 3-bell jar experiment, and we have three setup A, which is the first bell jar, setup B, which is the second bell jar, and setup C, which is the third bell jar. In setup A, we take a small, well-watered potted plant, preferably one with broad leaves. Now we enclose the pot completely within a polythene bag and tie the mouth completely with the polythene bag firmly around the base of the stem. In setup B, we arrange another similar plant and cover it with the bell jar exactly in the same manner as the first one, except that here you also keep a piece of dry cobalt chloride paper by the side of the plant. In setup C, we take this as a control setup, and here we take this without the plant but still containing a similar piece of cobalt chloride paper. Now, after about half an hour, we observe that the first bell jar A would show water vapor condensing on its inner walls. The second bell jar B would also show a similar condensation. At the same time, the initially blue cobalt chloride paper in it would turn pink. The blue color of the cobalt chloride paper in the third bell jar does not change at all, and there was no water drops on the jar's inner wall either. Now, by taking the three bell jars as described above, there is a double visual proof of transpiration, that the condensation of water vapor into droplets and change of the color of the cobalt chloride paper. You can here also see a polythene which we have tied to a plant and see the water which has been condensed and has been collected on the end. Here also first bell jar has been taken as a control without the plant, and the second is taken a well-watered potted plant, and you can see the water drops also over there. Now we come to the weighing method for transpiration. There are a number of methods for measuring transpiration, like this first one. This can be done by using a test tube filled with the water and inserting a leafy shoot. Now no roots are taken, you can see here, and pouring some oil. Why do we put oil over there? To prevent the loss of water by evaporation. Now we see here, we place the test tube in a small beaker and weigh them together. Now we remove the intact test tube and keep it straight in the test tube stand for few hours. Then we weigh it again by keeping the same beaker. Any difference in the weight will indicate the loss of water by the shoot due to the transpiration. The next is over here. In this, a small lightweight potted plant can be weighed before and after the end of the certain period of time. The soil surface and the pot should be fully covered to prevent the evaporation from the surface other than the plant. Now the loss in weight by the plant during that time is due to the loss of water by transpiration. This is also a bell jar taken with the balsam plant in it. Here also you can see the water vapors on the inner wall of the bell jar. Now next is a potometer method. Potometer is a device that measures the rate of water intake by a plant. Potone means drink, meter means measure. This is a Latin word, and this water intake is almost equal to the water loss during transpiration. You can also see here a cut plant stem is sealed into a potometer using a rubber bank. An air bubble is introduced in the capillary tube. This air bubble is introduced so that we can just see the flow of the water. The more it moves, we can see that the water has been absorbed by the plant, and the distance the bubble travels show how much the water the stem has taken up. This is a Ganong spotometer which is usually used. Now there are some precautions to use this spotometer. It should be made completely watertight. The twig which has been used should be cut obliquely. Why? So that the large surface area of the water intake can be provided under the water, and it should be cut under the water so as to avoid the suction of an air bubble into the twig, which may stop the absorption of the water through into the xylem. There are some limitations also, that introducing a water bubble, air bubble in it is not very easy, and the twig may not remain fully alive for a long time. Moreover, any changes in the outside air temperature may affect the position of the air bubble in the capillary tube, which may disturb our experiment. Then we have a farmer's spotometer. What is it? This spotometer and the Ganong spotometer, it helps us to measure the rate of the water intake by the plant. Then is the Darwin spotometer. It helps us to demonstrate the suction force created due to the transpiration. Then comes the Garreau spotometer. There it helps us to demonstrate the unequal transpiration from the two surfaces of the dorsiventral leaf. Here we all know that the rate of transpiration on the both sides of the leaves are not equal. From a lower side more water gets transpired, and from the upper less water gets transpired. Then we have some types of transpiration. The first which we are going to discuss is a cuticular transpiration. It is directly from the surface of the leaves and the stem. The water which is lost takes place due to the waxy cuticle on the epidermis of the leaf. Here we see, you can clearly see the water droplets which have come on the surface. This is directly from the surface of the leaf. Then comes the lenticular transpiration. Here from the lenticels, which are minute openings on the surface of the old woody stems, the transpiration takes place. Then comes the most important, stomatal transpiration. This is a major part of the transpiration occurs through the stomata only. On the second number comes the cuticular transpiration, and the least takes place from the lenticular. Here the stomata are the minute pores confined to the epidermis of the green shoots and leaves. Here we see that a cross section of a leaf has been shown to you. You can see the water vapor, lower epidermis, spongy mesophyll, palisade mesophyll, upper epidermis, and the cuticle. Now here the entire movement of water vapor from the surface of the cell into the outside of atmosphere is a result of diffusion only. Here it is a stomatal apparatus. You can see the first is the open stomata and the second is the closed stomata. This is due to the K plus cation theory you all have read, due to which the turgidity and the flaccidity takes place in the guard cell, due to which they open and close. Then comes the monocot stomata and the dicot stomata. We have the monocot seeds and dicot seeds, due to which only, according to that only, we have the different shapes of the stomata. You can see a monocot stomata, they are in a different shape, whereas dicot stomata, you have seen a previous slide only, they are bean shaped. Here you can see the dicot is a bean shaped and monocot is a dumbbell shaped. You can see the open state of a monocot and a closed state, how they open and how they close. Same with the dicot guard cells also. This is a visual representation of their opening and closing. You can see. Then here you can see a dicot guard cell opening and closing. Here it is a leaf cross section. Earlier also I have shown you the epidermis, palisade mesophyll, the spongy mesophyll, and the moist air space. Now here we can see the movement of the water through a leaf. The cell sap in each cell exerts a turgor pressure outward on the cell. This pressure forces some water out of the cell wall into the air space between the cell. Here you can see the moist air space now, from there only. Here the water vapor evaporates and the water vapor diffuses through the air space between the mesophyll cell into the substomatal space, from where it finally goes out by diffusion through the stomata. Here you can see, like, this is a leaf blade. From the xylem vessel, most of the water travels along cell wall by imbibition. It is a surface method of giving out the water. Then evaporation from the cell walls, and a small proportion of water enters by osmosis also. This is the probable pathway of the water through the leaf cells. Here the water vapor and the water evaporates, and the water vapor diffuses through the air space between the mesophyll cells into the substomatal space, from where it finally goes out by diffusion through the stomata. The arrows show the path of the water vapor and the water. Now the cells that lose water in this way replace it by drawing more water of it from the nearest vein. Most of this water travels along the cell wall by imbibition, and only a small quantity enters the cell by osmosis. Now thousands of leaf cells evaporate the water in this way, causing more of water to be pulled from below via the xylem vessel. The transpiration pull thus created can draw up water to about 50 meters or more in tall trees. Here you see the regulation of the stomatal transpiration. Stomata are thus minute structures occurring in large number on the lower epidermis of the leaf. The transpiration occurs as long as the stomata are open, but it stops when they are closed. The opening and closing mechanism of stomata are regulated by the amount of water and solutes present in the guard cells. Now, as the stomata open during the daytime, the diffusion of gases in and out starts, fulfilling the need for photosynthesis as well as allowing the transpiration. If for any reason the water content of the leaf is falling short, the guard cells fail to remain turgid. Rather, they turn flaccid. That means they lose the turgidity, thereby closing the stomatal opening, and transpiration stops. A more detailed, now you see that the leaf of some plants does wilt during the midday and recover in the evening, because in some plants, example balsam, the leaves of the plant wilt in the midday in spite of the fact that there are plenty of water in the soil. In such case, the rate of transpiration during the midday exceeds the rate of absorption by water by the roots. The cell therefore lose turgidity. Here we have the stomatal and the cuticular transpiration. The stomatal transpiration is controlled by the plant, adjusting the size of the stomata, whereas it does not happen in the case of cuticular or lenticular transpiration. Here we have a 4-leaf experiment. We take 4 leaves and we apply the Vaseline on the upper and lower surfaces of each and every leaf. For the first, Vaseline is applied on the upper and lower surface, both the sides. For the B, Vaseline is on the lower surface only. C, the Vaseline is on the upper surface only. D, there is no Vaseline. Now according to you, which leaf dries first? Can anyone answer? According to the biology, D leaf dries first. Yes, because it has no Vaseline. So transpiration occurs from both sides of the leaf. And which leaf dries the last? Yes, that's the A leaf, because Vaseline is on the both sides of the leaf. Now if we see B and C, then C dries first because it has the Vaseline on the upper surface, and we have read earlier that on the upper surface as the stomata openings are less, so less transpiration occurs from this side but more occurs from the backward side. Thus the B has, when if B dries little late from the C, because it has Vaseline on the lower surface, which prevents the transpiration from that surface. Here also we have an experiment which shows that the lower surface of the leaf transpires more. Now we take a dry cobalt chloride paper attached to the 2 surfaces of the leaf, and they are held in position by the 2 glass slides on either side. Now the leaf should remain attached to its own plant, means it should be alive, and it should remain alive only till the time we carry out the experiment. The piece of paper which is facing the upper surface of the leaf either does not turn pink or turns pink in a much longer time than the one on the lower surface. Now this proves that more transpiration takes place from the lower surface, which is on account of the numerous stomata opening on the lower side. Here we can see the transpiration pool which generates a suction force which help us to draw a water up even in a tall redwood trees. Here you can see how the water absorbed by the roots goes up by the xylem vessels and then gets transpires by the stomata. See, here also we have the stomata from where it escapes, then the guard cells. These moving blue balls are the water molecules. We have mesophyll cells and the xylem vessels which conduct the water molecules. Then we have some adaptations in plant to reduce the excessive transpiration. The first is sunken stomata. The stomata may be sunken or covered by the hair. These hair are the trichomes. Example we have in Nerium. You can see the small hair-like structure over here. These are the trichomes. These are trichomes, the white structures which are found on the Nerium plant. Now the another is fewer stomata. We may have the number of stomata may be reduced. We may have the narrow leaves. They become narrower due to reduce the surface area, because more the surface area, more will be the transpiration. Now another is reduced exposed surface. In some cases leaf may get wavy, rolled or folded due to reduced exposed surface. Then sometimes there can be loss of leaves also, as we have here in xerophytes. Their leaves are modified into spines so as to reduce the transpiration and save the water. Then we have thick leaves. These have a thick cuticle on them. They may be covered with thick cuticle like in banyan and most of the evergreen trees. In hydrophytes, we have the stomata on the lower surfaces of the leaf. Here you can see the water enters the root hair by osmosis, and we have the soil particles on the sides of the root hair, and we have a film of water. This enters the water by osmosis or by imbibition. Then comes the epidermis of the root. The water passes across the root from the cell to cell by osmosis. It also seeps between the cells. Now here the water is drawn up by the xylem vessel because of the transpiration is constantly removing the water from the top of them, which creates a suction force, which is also known as the ascent of sap. Then you can see here the transpiration pool which is created by the continuous loss of water from the leaves. Then is the water uptake in roots. Here you can see the water is continuously taken up from the roots by osmosis, then to the cortex, endodermis, pericycle and the phloem. Then we have two more here, gutational bleeding. Some plants may lose water on the other fluids along with the dissolved substances directly in liquid form and not as water vapor. The first one is guttation. It means to pour out or to drop. The leaves of certain plants exhibit droplets of water along their margins in the morning only. This particularly happens in plants growing in warm, humid conditions. A humid environment hampers the transpiration while the root continues to absorb water from the soil. This builds up a big hydrostatic pressure within the plant and forces out the excess water directly from the tips of the vein. The special pore bearing structure of these leaves are called hydrathodes. These are present on the margin of the leaf to allow this exudation. Then we have the bleeding. This happens only due to injury only. The plant sap escapes. It bleeds from the ruptured or cut surface. There is a difference between guttation and bleeding, because in guttation the exudate is mainly water with some dissolved mineral salts, but in bleeding the exudate is mainly plant sap and sugar. In guttation, it occurs in the early morning or late night, but bleeding it only occurs at the time of injury, means at any time it can occur when the injury occurs to the plant. In the guttation happens in the certain plants only, like banana, strawberry, but bleeding it can occur in all plants that have been cut or injured. With this, our transpiration chapter is over. I hope you like my explanation. Please do comment, like and share and subscribe. Thank you.